Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. Dynamite tonight was from the Indiana Farmers Coliseum in Indianapolis, Indiana. And the show just ended. And Dynamite tonight, I thought the show was just very mid, in my opinion. It was a very mid show. Basically, it was just filler. And tonight on Dynamite, we have Bryan Danielson versus Dax Harwood. The TNT Championship was on the line where Samoa Joe defended the title against AR Fox, which, what did AR Fox do to get an opportunity to face Samoa Joe for the TNT Championship? How did that happen? And AR Fox just signed full-time with AEW. So right when he signs full-time with AEW, he gets a TNT Championship shot just like that. And then we have Ricky Starks versus Daviari. Will Nightingale end up taking on Anna Jay on a cringe. And the main event, we had match number 3 in the Best of 7 series match for the Trios Championship. The Elite versus the Death Triangle, which we all know that the Death Triangle is up 2-0. And the next match will take place at Winter is Coming. Match number 4 will take place at Winter is Coming on December 14th. But overall, Dynamite tonight, very mid-show, very filler show it was. And then we had MJF end up delivering one hell of a promo and introducing a custom belt for him. And we also had the return of Ruby Soho. Ruby Soho returned on Dynamite tonight after Taimello ended up breaking Ruby's nose. Before I get into the review, if you guys haven't checked out my previous videos that I uploaded, Monday Night Raw review, I uploaded on Monday, and I uploaded the audience reactions to A Christmas Story when I went to see a screening of that Sunday night at the St. George Theater. So definitely check out both of those videos. But anyways, let's jump right in to the review. Dynamite opened up tonight with Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley made his way through the crowd and he got on the mic. And there was chants of Moxley from the crowd there in Indianapolis. Mox ended up saying that he grew up about 90 miles from here and that he used to wrestle in Indianapolis all the time. He went on to say that this has been a crazy-ass ride. You never know what's around the corner. Moxley ended up saying that there are 3 certainties: death, taxes, and himself. He ended up saying that there is nobody that can outwork him and out-wrestle him, out-bleed him, or out-swing him. So Moxley ended up saying that he is at the top of the food chain. And he ended up saying, I do and say what I want. Mox went on to say that this ring belongs to him. And you bet your ass there is no man in this building or 100 miles that has the balls to look me in the eyes and tell me different. So lo and behold, Hangman Paige made his way out. Paige ended up returning tonight on Dynamite. Paige strutted his way down to the ring. And there are some that say that Paige hasn't been cleared yet to compete. So Paige ended up going nose to nose with Moxley. So Mox ended up saying to Paige, you sure you want to do this after last time? And Mox was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Do you not remember?" So Paige ended up punching Moxley. Both Paige and Moxley end up brawling at ringside. And we saw security and refs end up trying to break the both of them up. Mox ended up breaking through the refs and the officials, and he leaped at Paige. And security was eventually dragging the both of them away. Moxley started talking trash to Paige. Paige came back and started swinging at Moxley. So Moxley was taunting Paige on the apron. So Mox ended up breaking free of the refs and some of the security. And I don't know if you all caught this, but when Mox broke free, he tripped and fell off the stage, which that's a botch right there. Yeah, he fell off the stage. So Mox got back up, and both him and Paige were brawling, and we had the security and the refs end up getting the both of them through the tunnel, and that was basically that. But overall, this was a good opening to Dynamite here. Moxley coming out there saying that he grew up 90 miles from Indianapolis and he used to wrestle there all the time. Paige making his return, even though probably he's not cleared to compete yet. So, and then the brawl between them. Though it was pretty good opening, pretty good segment. And then we had the first match of the night. Dax Harwood versus Bryan Danielson. This was a very good match between these two. And it's the first time that both of these guys have fought in the ring. So we had Harwood end up coming out first. He was accompanied by Cash Wheeler, of course. And then Bryan came out. The bell ended up ringing. The crowd started applauding both Harwood and Bryan. Both guys ended up blocking up as the crowd started chanting, "This is awesome." So both guys were exchanging holds. Harwood ended up ducking a roundhouse kick from Bryan. Dax ended up avoiding the label lock from Bryan. And Dax ended up trying to lock in the sharpshooter on Bryan. Bryan ended up avoiding that. Bryan then ended up booting Harwood in the face. And then Dax came back, started stomping away on Bryan. So both guys started trading chops and some uppercuts to each other. Bryan ended up whipping Harwood into the corner. Harwood ended up rolling up Bryan. Bryan kicked out at 2. And he ended up doing a crossbody for another pin, to which Bryan ended up kicking out. Bryan then ended up sending Harwood over the top rope. Bryan ended up flying out and ended up taking Harwood out and into the fans. Both guys end up slugging away at each other. And then as Dynamite came back from the commercial, Dax Harwood was in control of the match. He ended up hitting Bryan with some German suplexes. Harwood ended up heading up to the top, but then got back down. He ended up trying another suplex to Bryan, and Bryan ended up avoiding a pile driver. Harwood ended up avoiding another roundhouse kick by Bryan, and then Harwood spiked Bryan with a pile driver, to which he went for the cover, and Bryan ended up kicking out. Harwood ended up heading up to the top. He ended up missing a stalling headbutt, and Bryan ended up rolling Harwood up. Harwood kicked out at 2. Bryan delivered a flying knee to Harwood off the apron. Then he started chopping the hell out of Harwood, which both Harwood and Bryan's chests were beet red from those chops. Bryan then headed up to the top, and Harwood ended up trying to go for a superplex. Bryan ended up fighting out. He ended up sending Harwood into the turnbuckle. So Bryan started elbowing Harwood on the top rope. And we had Bryan end up hitting a back body drop to Harwood, but Harwood ended up rolling through. And Bryan ended up rolling through that. And so it went for the cover. And both men were down. The referee started counting as Harwood ended up headbutting Bryan. So we had both guys end up headbutting each other on their knees. They end up getting back up. And Bryan ended up hitting 2 lariats to Harwood. Harwood came back, hit a lariat of his own to Bryan. Both guys started just delivering some clotheslines. So we had Bryan end up jumping up. He ended up hitting a clothesline to Harwood. Both men end up going down as the crowd was loving what they were seeing from both of these guys. Harwood ended up catching Bryan's kick. Bryan ended up reversing that into a slingshot powerbomb, into a roll-up on Harwood, to which Harwood kicked out too. So at the end of the match, Harwood ended up trying to go for the sharpshooter, but Bryan and Harwood ended up exchanging some cradles, which I hate when they do that, with the near pinfall attempt, where they're just pinning and the ref goes 1, 2, and then they roll over. Ref goes 1, 2, roll over again, 1, 2 by the ref. I hate when they do that. It just looks stupid. It's like they're rolling around the ring. So Bryan then transitioned into the label lock. Harwood was struggling to get to the rope, and then Harwood ended up tapping out. So there you go. Bryan Danielson ended up winning the match. Post-match, Bryan ended up celebrating in the ring, and he ended up telling the audience to give props to Harwood. And Bryan ended up extending his hand as a sign of respect for Harwood. So Harwood ended up fake leaving, and then he ended up giving Bryan a handshake, and both guys ended up hugging, and pretty much that was basically that. Overall, very good match this was. For the first time these two were in the ring, they delivered one hell of an awesome match. And the crowd was really into it. And then we saw Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone was with Ricky Starks, to which Ricky Starks announced that he is entering the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal, to which whoever wins that Battle Royal will get to face MJF. And I'm like, this whole Battle Royal was booked for the winner to take a loss. It's just like what we're going to see with Ricky Starks at Winter is Coming, where he's going to face MJF. So it's the same fucking shit. Ricky Starks won the World Championship Eliminator Tournament. He's going to face MJF. He's going to take a loss to MJF. So whoever wins the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal will face MJF, and then they're going to lose to MJF. What's the point? What's the point of doing this Battle Royal? Just for that certain someone to win it and take a loss. It's stupid booking from Tony Khan. It's absolutely pointless. So Ricky Starks ended up saying that he's going to make a judgment call, which he is going to win the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal. Because Ricky Starks ended up saying, I am coming for everything, Max. I am coming for your title, your ring, and your spot. And Starks ended up saying, I am absolute for a reason. And at Winter is Coming, I will prove it. Sorry, Starks. You're going to take a loss to MJF at Winter is Coming. But that was what Starks had to say. He's entering the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal, which you're going to see next week on Dynamite. And then as Dynamite came back from the commercial, Hangman Page and Jon Moxley were once again fighting. And security ended up coming there, and refs ended up trying to break them off. They were in the parking garage. Paige ended up driving Moxley into the garage door, and security and refs ended up running to break them up again. And the two couldn't stop brawling. So both guys were thrown out of the arena, and pretty much that was that. And then after that, we went to Renee Paquette. Renee Paquette was with the Jericho Appreciation Society and the Blackpool Combat Club. For the JAS, it was Menard and Parker, Danny Garcia, and Jake Hager with the stupid purple hat. Might as well dress him in a Barney costume and put the purple hat on top of him, so that would be the cherry on top. He just looks so stupid with the hat on. So then we saw Claudio Castagnoli and Will Yuta for the Blackpool Combat Club. Menard ended up saying that you can be anything as a sports entertainer. So Will Yuta ended up saying that he's done with people. And he ends up challenging Daniel Garcia for the ROH Pure Championship at ROH's next pay-per-view, which is Final Battle, which is in a few weeks. So next week on Dynamite, it will be a tag team match. It will be Claudio Castagnoli and Will Yuta versus Jake Hager and Daniel Garcia. So we'll be seeing that next week. And then we had Samoa Joe versus AR Fox. TNT Championship on the line. AR Fox just signed full-time with AEW. And what did AR Fox do to earn an opportunity for the TNT Championship? He signs with AEW full-time and he just gets a TNT Championship shot like that? How? So we had AR Fox end up coming out, got a nice reaction from the crowd, and this was his first match since signing with AEW. Samoa Joe was then out. He came out, and the crowd was behind him. They were chanting, "Joe, Joe." So he walked down with both the ROH World Championship and the TNT Championship. 2 belts Joe there. So the match got underway. Joe ended up cornering AR Fox, brought him into the corner. Samoa Joe started jabbing away at Fox and delivered some stomps. Fox then came back, delivered some shots on Joe, but Joe ended up cutting Fox off. Fox ended up avoiding a lariat from Joe, and he ended up taking down Joe. So AR Fox ended up diving over Joe. He ended up rolling through. Joe ended up walking away, and AR Fox ended up pump kicking Joe. AR Fox delivered some shots as Joe ended up sweeping Fox's legs, and Joe ended up sentoning Fox. And then as Dynamite came back from the commercial, Joe was in control of the match. He delivered a sidewalk slam to AR Fox, to which he went for the cover. Fox kicked out at 2. So Joe ended up trying to do a muscle buster on Fox, but Fox ended up falling off Joe. Fox ended up going up to the top. He delivered a tornado DDT to Joe. So Fox then delivered a bunch of kicks to Joe. He headed up to the top, delivered the 450 on Joe. So he went for the cover. Joe kicked out. Fox then ended up going up to the top, and Joe ended up walking away to avoid a flip from Fox. Joe ended up sending Fox up top and delivered the muscle buster. So Joe ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Samoa Joe ended up winning the match, retaining the TNT Championship. Post-match, Joe ended up getting on the mic, and he ended up saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to a new and glorious era." Joe ended up saying, "For I am the one true king of television." So Warlow was on the Titantron. Warlow ended up interrupting, and he ended up saying to Joe, I hope you enjoy playing the role, because I am coming for what's mine. And it's not your world. It's his world. It's Warlow's world. So the crowd started chanting Warlow, and pretty much that was that. But AR Fox, he looked good in the match, but let's be honest, the match was a waste of time. And like I said, what did AR Fox do to earn an opportunity at the TNT Championship? We all knew when this was announced, because this was announced earlier in the day, Samoa Joe was going to squash AR Fox. So then we saw Powerhouse Will Hobbs, and it was a video showcasing Hobbs walking through Oakland, and he kept saying about how he was beat up and bullied, and how he was going to let everyone feel the pain and hurt that he felt when he was bullied and, beaten up. So Hobbs ended up saying, I'm taking what belongs to me. So pretty much that was that. And then we went to the best promo of the night, in my opinion. I really enjoyed this. And it was MJF addressing the crowd. So William Regal was walking down to the ring. So he had a mic in hand. The crowd started booing at Regal. So Regal ended up saying, ladies and gentlemen, your new AEW World Champion, Maxwell Jacob Friedman. So MJF ended up coming out, and he was strutting down to the ring, and he had a mic in hand. He ended up tossing his gum at some guy, on the side of the front row, on the floor. So MJF got into the ring. He hugged William Regal. MJF got on the mic, and he ended up saying, I know you people aren't bright, but when the best wrestler is holding the mic, you keep your hillbilly mouths shut. So what is MJF trying to be like Miz now? Instead of saying, when my hand goes up, your mouth goes shut. But MJF was like, I will tell you how. So we had the crowd started chanting, shut the fuck up at MJF. And MJF ended up saying that Regal sent him an email. And he kept saying, Maxwell, I watched on as the firm attacked you. It's clear you're weak, but I see potential for you to be the greatest villain of our time. You have much to learn, and I will teach you. But this time, instead of grabbing the diamond ring, grab the brass one. Sincerely, Regal. So MJF was just reading the email that William Regal sent to him. So he ended up continuing. We met many times, and this man is a genius. MJF ended up saying that he was apt to listen, where he said, use the knucks, because he wanted me to leave Moxley with a lesson, so he would never forget the day he was outsmarted by him, how Moxley was outsmarted by MJF. So MJF ended up talking about the firm, and he was like, I kind of respect the firm. Yeah, a bunch of jobbers outside of Morrissey. So he ended up saying that they saw weakness and attacked, and that he would have done the same. MJF ended up saying that even if I did harbor resentment, do I seem like the kind of person to chase? He ended up saying effort is for poor people, and I am above that. And I am above this belt, the World Championship. MJF ended up saying that when he became champ, I made a promise to make change. Out with the old, in with the new. So MJF was like, when I see this title, I want to gag. He ended up saying it desperately needs an upgrade. He ended up saying that it's tacky, classless, and reminds him of the other men who held it. So he ended up mocking them. He ended up mocking the guys that held the World Championship. He ended up saying that none are on his level. None of those guys are on his level. So he took the title, he took the World Championship, chucked it away. Regal ended up removing a tarp because there was a stand in the ring. It was tarped off. And he removed the tarp from the stand. And MJF revealed a Burberry pattern leather belt. It's a custom made belt for MJF, which it looks great. That custom belt for him looks absolutely great. So MJF ended up calling it new and improved. And it's the Triple B, the most important title in this entire sport. Because MJF ended up saying, I am the man holding it. And no one deserves to be recognized as world champion except for me. MJF ended up saying, no overhyped trash, fake tough guys. And he ended up calling Ricky Starks a fake star. And then he went on to say that Bryan Danielson is a fake wrestler. To which MJF ended up saying, in comparison, Bryan couldn't wrestle his way out of a bag against me. So MJF then mocked the Indianapolis crowd. He ended up saying, here's a message. As long as I am here, you'll never know what it's like on top. MJF went on to say that he's going to be champion for a long time, until the bidding war of 2024. Of course, MJF's still throwing out this bidding war of 2024 when his contract is up. Will he sign with AEW or will he sign with WWE? Who knows? We got 2 years to wait. So he ended up saying that he's going to be champion for a long time until that bidding war and get the biggest contract in history. He ended up saying that I'll make more in a day than you will in a lifetime. MJF then ended up saying, I pray the right Khan foots the bill. And he wasn't talking about Tony Khan. He was talking about Saint Nick Khan, who works for WWE. And MJF ended up mentioning the Game. Of course, Triple H. So MJF mentioned Nick Khan and Triple H there. So we'll see what 2024 will bring with MJF. Will he re-sign with AEW or will he be WWE bound? We'll see. We'll know. So MJF ended up saying that he doesn't even know if anyone will win the bid because he doesn't want to look at the fans. But MJF ended up saying, maybe Hollywood. So MJF ended up saying, thanks for the support, but your happiness will turn to resentment because all of you are fickle. So he got that from Bryan Danielson, when he was in WWE, when Bryan was the heel and he was the planet's champion, if you all remember that. So, and then, Bryan used to go, fickle, fickle, fickle. So MJF was like to the crowd, oh, you guys will complain, you'll bitch. He kept saying, great, guess who will turn in every week? You. He kept saying that Triple B will be defended rarely, and I will wrestle rarely, because I am a special attraction. He's right about that. He will wrestle rarely. MJF doesn't have to wrestle every single week or 2-3 weeks. He's not that guy that is going to go out there every single week and wrestle. MJF, he is right. He is a special attraction. So MJF ended up saying that in order to see me defend it, you'll have to buy a pay-per-view in hopes to see me lose. But the people won't. So then MJF ended up saying that his reign will make Hulk Hogan, JBL, and Jeff Jarrett's reigns shorter than sweet. So then MJF ended up saying, I'm about to have a world title reign that makes Bruno Sammartino roll around in his shitty little grave. Yeah, that's what he said. That's what MJF ended up saying. And then he ended up saying that his reign of terror has just begun. Of course, in reference to Triple H's reign of terror, from 2002 to 2005. Yeah, we all know how Triple H's reign of terror when he was the World Heavyweight Champion at that time. So MJF ended up going to hand William Regal brass knucks. And he ended up saying to Regal, they may boo you, but they respect you. So then MJF ended up decking William Regal with the brass knucks. William Regal was out cold because MJF was in back of William Regal, and that's when he punched Regal and Regal went down out cold. So then MJF stood over William Regal. He ended up saying, you made a deal with the devil. Let me leave you with words like you did. And that the game has changed. He ended up saying that he hires top talent and world-class athletes. He ended up saying, when you're ready, send me your stuff. Yours truly, Maxwell Jacob Friedman. So MJF ended up getting out of the ring, and he walked through the crowd. Bryan Danielson ended up coming out with the doctor to check on William Regal. They ended up waving down EMTs, and the EMTs ended up bringing a stretcher into the ring. William Regal was still passed out. He hasn't even moved. And, we all know how William Regal had, several neck injuries. So Bryan ended up screaming to go faster to, the EMTs to take William Regal. So they put a neck brace on Regal, and they ended up getting him on, the gurney, and then Dynamite went to commercial. And pretty much that was basically that. But really loved this promo from MJF. It was good. Loved it from beginning to end. So when do you all think that the fans will get tired of MJF as champion? I give it 2 months. I give it 2 months until the fans get sick of MJF as champion. Which MJF ended up saying that in the promo. But very good promo from MJF. And then, as Dynamite came back from the commercial, William Regal was shown being loaded into the ambulance. And Bryan ended up heading to the hospital with William Regal. And Tony Schiavone ended up calling it a black eye on AEW. So then we had Ricky Starks versus Ari Davari. This match was what an awful, boring match this was. So we had Stokely Hathaway and Ethan Paige end up coming out. And Matt Hardy was out there. He was doing delete, delete. So Stokely Hathaway ended up telling Matt Hardy to go to the back. To which Ethan Paige ended up telling Matt Hardy also. So they ended up mocking Matt Hardy. Ethan Paige ended up saying, you're going to help me win the whole damn thing to Matt Hardy because Matt Hardy's going to be in the Dynamite Ring Battle Royal. So Ricky Starks ended up saying, oh, I'm calling my shot after MJF whips your ass. So then we see Matt Hardy end up flipping off Ethan Paige. And Ethan Paige ended up saying to Ricky Starks, oh, you're going to watch and cry. So then Ari Daviari sneaked attacked Ricky Starks. So then Ricky Starks came back, delivered a spear to Daviari, and then Starks ended up hitting the Rochambeau to Daviari, and there you go. Ricky Starks ended up winning the match. Post-match, Ricky Starks and Ethan Paige ended up staring down, and pretty much that was that. Oh, very boring match this was. Yeah, I'm yawning just talking about it. So then Tony Schiavone was in the back with Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, the AEW Women's World Champion, Jamie Hayter, and Rebel. So Britt Baker was talking about their win, and she was talking about the Steelers, because she's a big Steelers fan. So she ended up talking about the Saraya sit-down. So Jamie Hayter ended up offering Tony Schiavone for him to have a sit-down with Jamie Hayter and set up for next week. So there you go. We're going to get that next week. Tony Schiavone's going to sit down with Jamie Hayter. So that was that. And then we had Anna Cringe versus Will Nightingale. Very boring. Very boring match this was. Anna Jay and Taimello end up making their way out. Will Nightingale came out. She got a pop from the crowd. So the match got underway. Anna Jay ended up ducking a lockup from Nightingale. Nightingale came back, used her strength to take out Anna Jay. So Will Nightingale delivers some shoulder blocks to Anna Jay and some clotheslines. And then Nightingale delivered a back body drop to Anna Jay. Will Nightingale delivered a crossbody onto Anna Jay, which she went for the cover, and Anna Jay ended up kicking out. Will Nightingale got back up, delivered a hip attack on Anna Jay. She ended up missing a haymaker. Anna Jay ended up coming back and delivered a kick to Will Nightingale. Anna Jay delivered the blockbuster, to which she went for the cover. Nightingale ended up kicking out. So then as Dynamite came back from the commercial, both women were throwing elbow shots at each other. Will Nightingale ended up getting the advantage in the match. So we had, at the end of the match, we had Will Nightingale delivered the Dr. Bomb on Anna Jay. So there you go. Will Nightingale ended up winning the match. Post-match, we had the return of Ruby Soho. So Ruby Soho's music ended up hitting, and Taimello was in the ring, just jawing the way. But what she didn't know was Ruby Soho was behind her. So Taimello ended up turning around. Ruby ended up taking Taimello down, started punching away at her. Ruby ended up taking out Anna Jay. Ruby then ended up chasing Taimello up the ramp, and she ended up delivering a headbutt to Taimello. And then Ruby hit the Destination Unknown to Taimello on the ramp, and pretty much that was basically that. So Ruby Soho returning on Dynamite tonight after Jay ended up breaking Ruby Soho's nose, which Ruby ended up needing surgery for it. So this is going to set up their match, Ruby Soho versus Taimello. But, after that, I already know that Ruby Soho is not going to be booked well. She's going to continue to not be booked well. So, but that may change. That's my prediction. So, but we'll see what happens. Overall, Anna Jay versus Will Nightingale, very boring. Very boring match. And then we saw Tony Schiavone was with QT Marshall and Orange Cassidy. QT Marshall ended up saying to Orange Cassidy that he wants a shot at the All-Atlantic Championship, to which Orange Cassidy quickly said, "Oh, no problem." To which QT Marshall ended up saying that it's going to be a lumberjack match. And Orange Cassidy was like, "Cool, okay." And then he walked away. And that match is going to be taking place on Rampage on Friday. But I'll be sure to take my bathroom break during that match. Or, maybe I'll watch. I'm just kidding. I'll watch the match. But do I care? No. Obviously, it's going to be an easy win for Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy retaining the All-Atlantic Championship. Come on, it's QT Marshall. And then we had Jade Cargill's championship celebration. What a waste of time this was. Jade Cargill came out. She was wearing a bra with $100 on it. So she made her way down to the ring with her baddies. So the baddies were dressed in pink. And they were looking to be a little bit irritated to be there with Jade Cargill. Jade ended up getting on the mic. She ended up saying, "We all know why you're here. For me and my big-ass celebration." She ended up saying that I made the baddies. I say who stays and goes. She ended up saying that she took out the trash last week. And she ended up asking the baddies why they hung out with Kiera Hogan. So she ended up mocking them. So Jade ended up saying that standing next to me is a blessing. And if you two want to step up or step off, I am the brightest star backstage. She ended up saying nobody has my body, my face, my aurora, and that she puts asses in seats. She ended up saying I wrestle for bad bitches. And she was like, now cameramen, do my job and get my baddies. So she was like, I am nothing but real, and that I create careers. What careers have she created? I can't remember. So Jade Cargill ended up mocking Bow Wow, and it cut to a video of him. Bow Wow ended up congratulating Jade on winning. And he ended up saying that he has a lot of time on his hands, and that he's got a lot planned in the future. So he ended up telling Jade to watch out. So this is all because Jade Cargill and Bow Wow were going at it. Jade Cargill ended up going to Bow Wow's, tour, like concert tour, and it was, backstage. We saw the video online. So pretty much that was that, but this was a waste of time. I almost fell asleep during this segment. That's how bad it was. So then they said, well, we're going to see on Rampage on Friday, of course, the All-Atlantic Championship match between Orange Cassidy and QT Marshall. And Renee Paquette is going to do a sit-down with Saraya. So we're going to be seeing that on Rampage on Friday. And then we see the Acclaim backstage. And Billy Gunn was being a drill sergeant to Caster and Bowens. To which Bowens ended up saying that he is giving the best tag team a shot for the titles. To which Billy Gunn ended up agreeing. He ended up saying, well, I guess what we need to do now is scissor. So then Billy Gunn and the Acclaimed ended up scissoring, and that was that. Main event. Match number 3 in the best of 7 Trios Tag Team Championship match. The Elite versus the Death Triangle. As we know, the Death Triangle is in the lead 2-0, which they won their first match at Full Gear. And they won their second match last week on Dynamite. So we had the Elite end up making their way out. they got a big ovation in Indianapolis when last week they got booed. So then the Death Triangle end up coming out, and the Elite end up meeting them on the ramp, and we had a brawl between them. The Bucks took out Penta, and then they end up delivering a Hurricanrana to Phoenix. Kenny Omega delivered a Bulldog on the ramp to Pac, to which Pac was wearing a black face protector on him. So the Bucks end up dragging Pac down the ramp. And of course, the match hasn't even gotten underway yet. The bell didn't even ring. So Kenny Omega was up. Pac countered the V-trigger from Omega, and Pac delivered a thrust kick to Omega, and Penta and Phoenix end up taking out the Bucks, and then Dynamite went to commercial. So then, as Dynamite came back from the commercial, these guys were still brawling on the outside. Still, the match didn't even get underway. So we had the ref officially ring the bell, and we had the Bucks end up hitting apron bombs on Pac and Phoenix. Kenny Omega tried to do it to Penta, but Penta blocked it, and Penta ended up taking out the Bucks and Omega. So we had Alex Abrahantes. He ended up passing a hammer to Penta. Penta ended up, taking out the Elite. So we had Penta had Kenny Omega in the ring with the hammer, and Phoenix ended up stopping him. Penta ended up pushing Phoenix away. Phoenix grabbed the hammer, and Omega ended up taking out Phoenix with the V-trigger. Kenny Omega then ended up delivering a Snapdragon onto Penta, and the Bucks ended up delivering super kicks to both Phoenix and Penta. Kenny Omega delivered a powerbomb V-trigger combo, but Pac ended up breaking up the 2 count. Penta took out the Elite, and the Elite ended up accidentally kicking Omega, to which the Lucha Brothers ended up taking out the Bucks, and they set Kenny Omega up. Phoenix and Pac ended up taking out the Bucks. Penta delivered the Fear Factor on Kenny Omega, to which he went for the cover, and Omega ended up kicking out. So Pac ended up taking in as Nick Jackson ended up pulling Kenny Omega out. He ended up kicking Pac. So both teams were exchanging super kicks to each other. Pac then ended up headbutting Kenny Omega with the face mask, and Pac ended up hitting a Super Falcon Arrow on Omega, which looked awesome. So Pac ended up going for the cover. Kenny Omega ended up kicking out. And then as Dynamite came back from the commercial, Pac ended up getting nailed with the V-trigger by Omega, which got turned inside out. And then he got turned inside out with a lariat from Omega. So Phoenix and Nick Jackson were both in the ring. They ended up exchanging reversals. Nick ended up hitting 2 super kicks to Phoenix, and then delivered a face buster. He went for the cover. Phoenix kicked out at 2. So Phoenix ended up whipping Matt into Nick, and they ended up bumping heads. So we had, at the end of the match, Pac ended up trying to go for the Black Arrow, and Matt Jackson ended up getting his knees up. Matt ended up rolling up Pac, and Kenny Omega was able to stop Phoenix in time from breaking up the pin. So there you go. The Elite end up winning the match. So the Elite end up picking up their first win in this best of 7 series matches. So now it's the Death Triangle 2, the Elite 1. So it's 2-1. So post-match, the Elite end up celebrating. Kenny Omega got on the mic. He ended up saying, "We're bringing this back. And without further ado, I wish you good night and good luck." So pretty much that was basically how Dynamite went off the air. Overall, this was a good match here again from the Elite and the Death Triangle. But overall, Dynamite, just a very mid-show filler show, in my opinion. But anyways, that's it for the Dynamite review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all back on Friday for SmackDown and AEW Rampage. So, see you all then.